Ever wondered how to take stunning photos? Welcome to Photography 101, a beginner's guide. In this journey, we'll unravel the mysteries of the lens, delve into the depths of exposure, and discover the magic of composition. This guide aims to equip you with the essential knowledge and techniques to transform your photographic skills, whether you're brandishing a high-end DSLR or just snapping shots with your trusty smartphone. Ready to start your photographic journey? Then let's dive right in. First things first, you don't need an expensive camera to start taking great photos. That's right, the smartphone in your pocket can be your first tool in exploring the world of photography. Why? Because it's not about the gear. It's about your perspective and how you interpret the world around you. Now, let's talk about some basics. Composition is how you arrange elements within your photograph. It's the difference between a snapshot and a photograph that tells a story. Lighting is another critical aspect. It can change the mood, create drama, and bring life to your images. And then there's the subject, what you choose to photograph. It can be a person, a landscape, or even a tiny detail that catches your eye. Remember, photography is all about experimenting. It's about finding what works for you and developing your unique style. So grab your smartphone and start experimenting. Once you're ready to upgrade, choosing the right camera lens can make a world of difference. There's a vast array of lenses out there, each with its own strengths and specialities. Think about what you want to photograph. If you're looking to capture a wide array of subjects, from landscapes to portraits, a standard zoom lens could be your go-to. They're versatile and offer a range of focal lengths in one package. On the other hand, if you're after higher image quality or want to capture specific shots like stunning portraits or detailed close-ups, consider a prime lens. These lenses have a fixed focal length, which means they don't zoom in or out, but they often provide sharper images and perform better in low-light situations. And let's not forget the telephoto lenses for sports or wildlife photography, or the wide-angle lenses ideal for landscapes and architecture. Remember, the right lens can elevate your photography to new heights. Film photography may seem old school, but it's making a comeback. There's something about the organic process and the element of surprise that digital photography simply can't replicate. Let's crack into the basics. Film photography revolves around three key elements: film types, loading film, and the development process. Different types of film yield different results. Black and white film is perfect for a vintage feel, while color film brings vibrancy and life to your images. Next, loading film can be a little tricky at first. It's about carefully threading the film onto the spool in your camera without exposing it to light. The development process is where the magic happens. It's a chemical process that transforms your exposed film into a negative. From this negative, you can produce your final prints. But remember, film photography isn't a race. It's a slow, thoughtful process. Each frame is a commitment and every shot counts. With patience and practice, you can create truly unique images with film. Experiment with different film types, play around with exposure times, and most importantly, have fun. After all, photography is about capturing moments and expressing your unique perspective on the world. Got a new camera? Here's how to set it up. Unboxing your new camera is always an exciting moment. But before you start capturing those stunning shots, you need to set it up. Start by charging your battery. While it's powering up, take the time to familiarize yourself with the camera body. Feel the weight, get a grip on it, and start exploring the buttons and dials. Next, insert your memory card. Make sure it's properly formatted to ensure your camera can read it. Now, let's dive into the basic settings. Try out the different shooting modes, adjust the ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. Don't forget to set the date and time, and if your camera has a built-in GPS, enable it. This will help you remember exactly when and where you took your photos. And there you have it. Your camera is now ready to capture the world through your unique perspective. Now you're ready to start shooting. Mastering the exposure triangle is essential for controlling light in your photos. This triangle, as the name suggests, consists of three elements: aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Each of these plays a crucial role in how light affects your final image. Let's start with aperture. This is like the pupil of an eye. It controls how much light enters the lens. A wider aperture, denoted by a smaller f number, lets in more light, and also creates a shallow depth of field, giving you that creamy background blur we often see in portraits. A smaller aperture with a larger f number lets in less light but gives a greater depth of field, keeping more of the scene in focus. Next up, we have shutter speed. This is the amount of time your camera's shutter is open, exposing the sensor to light. Faster shutter speeds freeze motion, while slower ones can create motion blur. Remember, the longer your shutter is open, the more light it lets in, but beware of camera shake with those slower speeds. Lastly, we have ISO. This determines your camera's sensor sensitivity to light. A lower ISO number means less sensitivity and cleaner images, while a higher ISO increases sensitivity, allowing for brighter photos in low light, but at the cost of more noise or grain. Balancing these three elements is key. If you adjust one, you'll likely need to tweak the others to maintain proper exposure. For example, if you widen your aperture to let in more light, you might need to speed up your shutter or lower your ISO to avoid overexposure. Remember, there's no correct setting for these elements. It's about finding the right balance for your vision. You might want a grainy, high-contrast black and white photo or a super sharp, vividly colored landscape. That's the beauty of photography. It's your art, your rules. So grab your camera, experiment with these settings, and see how they affect your photos. Understanding and mastering these elements will give you full control over your images.
Your camera's modes can help you take your photography to the next level. It's like having a toolbox, where each tool serves a different purpose. The auto mode is your camera's default setting, handling most of the decision-making for you. It's a great starting point for beginners, but it won't always give you the best results. Then there's the manual mode, the control center of your camera. Here, you get to adjust the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO to capture the image just as you envision it. Lastly, we have the scene modes. These are preset settings for specific situations like portraits, landscapes, or night photography. Don't be afraid to experiment with different modes to see what works best. Ever wondered why some photos have a blue or yellow tint? That's where white balance comes in. White balance is a camera setting that adjusts the color balance in your images, making sure the colors appear as they do in real life. It's crucial in photography because different light sources can cast various color tints, which can affect the overall mood of your photos. By mastering white balance, you can ensure your photos accurately reflect the scene. Getting the white balance right can dramatically improve your photos. Ready for some quick tips to take your photos to the next level? Let's jump right in. 1. Practice makes perfect. The more you shoot, the better you become. 2. Lighting is key. Pay attention to how light interacts with your subject. Experiment with different times of the day and see how the changing light affects your images. 3. Change your perspective. Don't just shoot from eye level, try going high or low, close or far. You'll be surprised at how different your photos will look. 4. Learn from others. Check out the work of other photographers. You'll find a wealth of inspiration and new ideas to try out. Remember, photography is all about experimenting and learning. Composition can make or break your photo. Let's explore some techniques. First up, we have the rule of thirds. Imagine dividing your photo into 9 equal parts with 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines. Placing your subject along these lines, or at their intersections, can create a balanced and engaging photo. Next, we have leading lines. These are lines within the image that guide the eye of the viewer towards the main subject. They can be straight, diagonal, wavy, or any shape that promotes a path to the focal point. Then, there's framing. This technique involves using natural frames like windows, arches, or branches to isolate and highlight your subject. It adds depth and context to your photo. Symmetry, another powerful technique, involves balancing elements on either side of your image. It can be used to create striking reflections or interesting architectural shots. Lastly, we have texture. Capturing the texture in a subject can bring your photo to life. From rough tree bark to silky water, textures create interest and detail. With these composition techniques, you'll be taking eye-catching photos in no time. That's it for Photography 101, a beginner's guide. We've covered the essentials from understanding your camera, exploring film, mastering exposure, to composition techniques. Remember, photography is an art of observation and expression. Keep experimenting and, most importantly, have fun.